And we are live. Mic check 1 2. Just checking my levels. Everything looks pretty good. Adjust my microphone a little bit here. Welcome to episode number 51 of the Sunday afternoon sessions where we talk Atlas Earth. So if you're new to the game, have some questions, just put them in chat. We'll get to them eventually. Let you know how to play the game. If you've been playing for a while, let me know what you've been doing in game this week. Just to get things started, I basically, I've been trying to work my way through the ladder. I'm down to the last two rungs of the ladder. Obviously, this month is a little bit different for us here in the United States, having to do it without the AMP program. But the rest of the people in the on the earth outside the United States are like, well, welcome to the party. That's what we have to deal with every month. So, not necessarily complaining about it. I'm just saying that it's a much different game to play as far as working your way through the ladder without the AMP challenges. Now, if you didn't hear about it, I did have an episode out last week, or maybe it was this past week. Things have been blurring together because I've been going through some stuff. My last day on my job of 11 years was Friday. I turned in my computer, did that whole thing, and didn't sleep well this last week. Did a lot of things preparing to get on the job market and everything. Went and turned in my laptop and phone and everything to work, which was really weird because I've been driving there for 11 years now. So I slept really well last night, which was interesting because previous week I hadn't slept well. And of course, we lost an hour of sleep here in the, if your area goes by daylight savings time, I lost an hour's sleep tonight or last night, which didn't help. I tried to put out a little bit of an alert on the channel for those who don't do the whole daylight savings time in their area to let them know that this show would be in effect, an hour earlier today. Yeah. So anyway, it's been an interesting week. I've got a plan to move forward, so cross your fingers for me. I had I want to say thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do a super chat, a super sticker, or become a member of the channel. It all helps out. And had a couple members of the channel this past week who really helped out, and I'm not going to mention their names, but I want to say thank you to one member in particular who basically wanted to see me get that Dragon LPU and basically paid for it. So I bought it, and I haven't placed it because I want to find that perfect place to put it. But I do want to say thank you to him. And I have another member who once again, I don't want to call these people out because they didn't want to, I don't think they want their names mentioned, but another member who donated some funds. We're coming up to my 2-year anniversary in Atlas Earth, which will be in mid-April, and donated some funds for a giveaway on that live stream. So I will be doing my 2-year update as far as what I've been up to and been able to accomplish in Atlas Earth. And at that point, I'm also going to kind of do a summation of what's changed in Atlas Earth and how I see it and everything like that. But I do want to throw those thank yous out there. And I thank everybody who has become a member and basically helped this channel keep going. Because as I've said before, YouTube has basically been doing everything to make them more money and give less money to the creators. So, but I would argue without the creator, YouTube wouldn't be YouTube. So let's go ahead and dive into the chat. Let me take a sip of coffee here. My big thing this past week was I just went out and bought some parcels yesterday, and this is the first time I've ever been able to go through 6 purchase parcel challenges in a row. And that accumulated, all the way up to, it was 22 parcels total. That's why you can see my total is weird, because I usually end on a 5 or a 0, just because that's the way my brain works. But I had to the sixth purchase parcel challenge was by 7, so that's why I'm on 1947. My goal is to cross 2,000 before the middle of April, which is my 2-year mark. Okay, enough blabbing from me. Let me go ahead and look into chat and see who is here. We have another dragon in the house. The Brave Dragon is here. Welcome. Alfie's here. Welcome, Alfie. Thanks for dropping by. Crypto Limbo is here as well, and Logan's Ears. For a minute there, I thought that said years, but Logan's Ears is here. Welcome. Logan got to the top 500 in racing. That's cool. Definitely. George is here. Says, question. You said you use PayPal savings. Why don't you use PayPal PYUSD? They have a higher rate. I don't know anything about PYUSD. But I do use PayPal. And in fact, that's an interesting question or interesting topic because previously I usually remove my rent to PayPal savings, which I believe is currently at 3.6%. Let me take a minute. I need to do this every episode. What we talk about here is for gaming purposes. It is not investment purposes at all. I am not an investment advisor, and anything we talk about is pertaining to game strategy. I need to say that for the YouTube algorithm. So now that we're clear, my PayPal savings gets 3.6% interest. And once again, that's different from wherever you are. This is something that's available in the United States. I'm not sure if it's available in other countries. But I don't know what PYUSD is. Might have to look into it after the show. But that brings up the point that I should have done a removal of rent because I've got like 60 some odd dollars in rent that I need to remove, $65 in rent that I need to remove from the game. But they've been having problems with, there's been some reported issues with people removing rent from the game. So I did not want to remove my rent until those problems were finished up. And I did not want to take any possible percentage chance of losing rent. So I'm just waiting for the word from the team that all those issues have been resolved before I remove my rent. But so that'll be part of my 2-year wrap-up video in April, and I'll look at how much I've made in PayPal. But I'll also look at, I'm all for making more interest, right? Who isn't, right? For those of you who are new to the channel or new here, all my rent besides $10 a month that I use to pay for the Challenge Ladder subscription goes into my PayPal savings account. And you can see here that I'm over I'm at $836 now total made off the game, and I'd have to check, but I'm somewhere around $600 of that is profit, and it's drawing interest like in fact, I had to use it's done so nicely in PayPal savings that I had to use I had to get a, what do you call it, a statement of interest to be able to file my taxes with it this year. So or include it in my taxes. Vaughn Media is here. Welcome. Says hi from Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Well, thanks. Thanks for dropping by. I will not do you a disservice by trying to do an Australian accent because mine is terrible. But welcome. Thanks for joining us from down under. Always good to see new names. And one of the things I love about doing a live stream, and this might be just because I'm an old gray beard, but one of the things I loved about starting to play online MMOs, MMORPGs, and doing stuff back when YouTube was fresh and everything, and it's because I started meeting people outside of the United States. And prior to that, you didn't really, I mean, once in a while, I mean, I was in the Navy. I met people out from outside the United States, but it's not like you talk to them on a regular basis. Now I have this show and I talk to people from all around the world. And largely at work, we talked with people from around the world. It's just like amazing to me. I love that part of today's internet connectivity. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I love to talk to people, new people around the world. So I appreciate it. And I know over there it's got to be very late. So I do appreciate your time. Thanks for dropping by. Crypto Limbo says, I bought 3 parcels this week and looking to become mayor in 2 other towns on my next tier jump. So I'll have 4 mayorships very soon, possibly 5. Nice. I bought my parcels in my secondary mayorship. I've got 4 mayorships. I still keep going, but there's 2 main ones which I get most of my badge income out of, and this whole year has just been going back and forth and reinforcing both of those basically. Alfie says, we went to the dump and I bought 3 badges today. That's an interesting place to buy badges. I haven't been involved. In fact, on my challenge ladder, I've got 2 buy badge challenges taking up spots now that I'm not going to use. So currently I'm working on the one challenge I'm working on that's not a mini game is the, boost 30 regular times. So I'm almost complete with that. And like I said yesterday, I passed through 6 challenge levels of purchase parcel. Poker Mouse is here. Welcome, Poker Mouse. Thanks for dropping by from the UK. Logan says, congrats on retirement. No, I'm not retired. I'm not poor. And I have many blessings to say that I'm thankful for. But I do need to find another job. And just take a minute, in case anybody out there needs a Salesforce administrator, I'm actually taking a different turn. Not that I'm going to talk about this a whole lot, but Salesforce has a whole green initiative that helps, if you can specialize in helping companies track their green, their net zero emissions and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to go down that route of certification. But either way, I have to recertify some certifications. I'm in IT and also Salesforce. So that's my route. And I got to keep myself productive. Otherwise, if I let myself be myself, I will slough off and sleep in and everything, and that's not good. That's not good for me on a personal basis. So, Lady Sharon's here. Welcome, Sharon. Says, good morning. Just realized I haven't watched the landmark video yet. Well, you should. You should. It's got a lot of interesting information. I will also say that if you have, I don't know of a person keeping a list or a spreadsheet for worldwide yet. If anybody is, let me know, ping me in Discord, so that I can do an episode on the outside of the United States landmarks so far. And also the U.S. landmark she is not fully complete. These, keep in mind, excuse me, that these are only the ones that have been reported. The game, as usual, is not doing us any favors and giving us a list. So every time we have to come up with something, we have to do it crowdfunded, so to speak. In other words, people report where they see these landmarks cordoned off and report those to R964. I checked with him and he says he has no problem with people pinging him in Discord and saying, here, I verified this spot and this is the location and city it's in, right? So that he can add it to the list, right? And then once again, if anybody is keeping a list outside of the United States, let me know. But until that time period, and I kind of doubt the way they do things, I kind of doubt they'll even give us a full list when they come out. I'm hoping. I'll keep asking Annalise for a complete list when they fully come out, because I would hope that when the system goes live, I would expect that the system would go live in the United States first, because everything goes live in the United States first, right? But I would hope that they're within the system, however it works, that you can bid on the landmarks. I would hope there would be like a list you could scroll through and find the one that's nearest you that you're interested in. that you could go to. Now, I did hear some conversation between Annalise and somebody else that, and this isn't for sure. This is not laid in stone. They're still working on the details, right? The full details have not been released on the system, but there was a general idea that the smaller local landmarks, you would have to be local to that area and actually go to the landmark to do your bidding. Whereas the bigger worldwide landmarks, maybe they will be biddable on the app or on the website or something or other. So you wouldn't have to, if you wanted to bid on the Eiffel Tower, you wouldn't have to go over to the Eiffel Tower, right? So, like I said, that I heard them discussing that. Obviously, anything can change until they release, until Annalise does the full release of the details, right? And, whenever she does, you can count on me for, an episode talking about what the full details are. Because there'll probably be something I want to complain about. Logan says, wait, is it retirement or is it like you're aiming for another job? I got told that my position was no longer needed and I was part of what's called a RIF here in the United States. I don't know what it's called out elsewhere. Or the RIF stands for reduction in force. In fact, when I got my letter, there were 60 people let go at the same time. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm good at what I do. And everybody that works with me agreed that, in fact, I put up my little listing thing on LinkedIn. Hey, after 11 years that I'm leaving and this and that. And I got tons. I got like 3,000 reactions to it. So I've helped a lot of people over the years. So I'm proud of what I do. Hey, Arbin, thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it. Just happened to see down in the chat Arbin had dropped in. Logan says, I tried to do the daylight savings wheel, but it didn't work. Oh, really? Everything worked fine for me today, but this is one of those days where, I need to mention that also due to daylight savings, if you have not seen Annalise's announcement, let me pull it up. This is one of those time periods where the mini games they do not change the times due to daylight savings. So keep that in your mind and keep your eye on when they will go live because they will be affected. I'm trying to pull up her announcement on this. She did make an announcement this past week. So if you haven't seen this, she says, as many of you adjust your clocks for daylight savings time, which happened last night or in the wee hours, we want to give you a quick heads up about our mini games. They run on a consistent schedule in UTC and do not shift with local time changes. That means your usual play time may move by an hour depending upon where you are located. Okay, so I just want to make you aware of that. So check out your schedule for mini games if you are a mini game player. And since it's still early in the month, most of us are mini game players trying to get through that challenge ladder. So The Cave Dwellers is here. Welcome. Sharon says, wow, sounds like you're doing well on the ladder. I tend to do mostly mini games, to be honest, slogging through some of my arcade games, trying to finish an arcade goal. I've did a lot. I've done more arcade games this time around, trying to make up for the fact that we lost the, being able to use the AMP program. So I've been playing this yarn game. It kind of looks like a cross stitch that you're pulling thread out of. I've got many levels done on that. In fact, I'm almost done with it. I don't know if I'm going to complete it, but most of these games I can't complete anymore. I get so far up and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able, because they start going, the fractions start going in hundreds of levels. And I'm like, I can't sit here for 7 hours to get one award, So I think I've been working on 2 different games since the month started and going back and forth. And I've also been working on a game with Scrambly, which I'm also doing pretty good in. And I was also able to make my goal, which my goal in Scrambly was to make enough money on a monthly basis to pay for my monthly challenge ladder subscription in Atlas Earth. So I've been successful, and since I've been playing that for about a month, I do need to make a update video on that. And that was largely because Atlas Earth removed their referral program, which helped me through the game as a content provider, right? A lot of these games have the referral codes, and that helps me actually pay for, all the hours I put into the videos for the games. Atlas Earth decided to stop that program for various reasons. I'm sure it might have been because of somebody was abusing it, but either way, I had to find another way to kind of fill in that void. So I started with Scrambly. So now you'll start seeing some Scrambly coverage once in a while. And I've been having to split up my time in arcade games because Scrambly does have a slightly different pick of arcade games to choose from versus Atlas Earth, right? And if you haven't seen that, check out my Scrambly video from I guess it was a month ago now, and I'll have a referral code in there if you want to check that out. But that has helped me out. Okay, so Sharon goes on to say, I also messed up. I blame me to focused on Splinterlands. I normally grab the daily in the morning, and I somehow forgot, and they didn't double check before I went to bed like normal. I always try to do all my daily stuff right when I roll over in bed. I'm literally getting up and watching my ads and doing everything while I'm putting my clothes on to go downstairs and work out, right? That's my usual thing during the morning. And usually, it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to get everything done. But yeah, I understand. So I reset my daily lucky. It was only, I reset my daily lucky. It was only about 2 days after 30. I'm almost ready to get my 90-day bonus. So I'm really checking religiously and making sure I don't screw that up. And it was only about 2 days after 30, so I didn't mess up that bad. Too bad I got the AB for the 30 days, really the only time I missed a day. I wish the icon was still red, though, instead of yellow. Yeah, it's harder. It doesn't stick out as much. It's not, I think it all comes down to the new UI is harder to read. And it doesn't, the warning that sticks out that says like, hey, you need to do your daily doesn't stick out as much, but also everything else doesn't stick out as much and is harder to read. So Divine Appointment says, getting through the ladder a bit faster this month. Tons of mini games, surveys, and arcades. Yeah, same thing here. But I will say that the ladder is deceiving. Okay. In other words, you can work your way through that first 3/4 of the ladder at a deceiving pace and think, oh, I'm going to do this fast. But those last 2 rungs are a lot of points to get through. And if you're trying to work through those last 2 rungs with just mini games, 25 and 35 points or whatever, it's going to take a lot of mini games to work your way through those rungs. Sam VP says, RIP to the original dragon, Bruce Lee. Oh, yeah, that's quite a long time ago. Logan says, so my top 500 I normally get in mini games, but due to not really being up to date on Atlas Earth, I thought it would drop. Well, we are very early in the month. So the way the game runs now, the mini games early in the month will be higher payouts because there'll be more people playing. Now, when you play towards the end, now this month is going to be a little bit different because of the removal of the AMP program here in the United States. There will be more people playing towards the end of the month, but generally that last week of the month you could expect smaller payouts and less competition in the, depend upon where you're at, right? So I'm just talking from a U.S. perspective because that's where I live. So it may be different where you live. I would assume that outside the United States where the AMP program is not then there's just a steady pressure on mini games throughout the month. In the United States, that's different. The Cave Dweller says, I am 20 points away from 1,350 on challenges. Sam says, I'm finally at 50 cents a day. Nice. That's a nice little thing to hit there. When you first start out in the game, it's just kind of what you're making. It takes a while to get to the point where you're like, oh, finally, I'm making something in the game, right? I'm glad I stuck with it. I haven't seen any of the numbers, but I would assume there's a lot of people, a high percentage of people that download the game, start playing, and within the first month stop playing because they're just making pennies, right? But if you stick with the game, it gets there. I'm making about, I don't know, $57, $58 a month right now. Logan says, so the issue I had, well, let's look at it. Well, I don't want to kind of, so here it is. I just updated my totals, and that's what you're looking at. I'm above average in legendary. I pulled 22 parcels yesterday, and I got 3 legendaries. I'm very happy about that. So I am above, and I was going to try to place an LPU, but the LPUs are somewhat broken with the new UI, because I tried 3 different LPUs to place them, and then whenever I go to put it down, there's no graphics. So, you know, when you go to put out of your inventory, you go to put a LPU down, it gives you the option to use the little arrows to turn it around how you want it facing and put it down. Well, guess what? I went to put the LPUs out, and there's just no graphics. It's not showing. Could I have done it? Yeah, I could have went ahead and placed it, but I wouldn't have known which way it was going to face, and maybe it was going to be facing wrong, right? So I just didn't put any down. I asked Annalise, and she said this is a known issue they're working on. I guess I'm not going to put down any LPUs until they fix this issue, and I wouldn't see any reason to buy. I don't know. I went ahead and bought that LPU because a very gracious, the Dragon LPU, because a very gracious member of the community basically paid for it for me. So I do appreciate that. And he is on the live stream now, so I do appreciate it, but I'm not going to call him out, but a big thanks for that. But I didn't place any because I couldn't see how they're facing, right? So they need to fix that. Logan says, so the issue I had was when I did the phone number code and hit continue, it would remove the rent, but it would also be stuck in loading right after for a good while. Oh, for like removing your rent? Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a few different people report this issue in slightly different manner, but all kind of the same, you know. So I am just holding my rent until this issue is resolved. I don't even want to remove any rent until the issue is resolved, because I just don't want to run the risk of losing money. JPS is here, says, hi guys, how we doing? I'm doing very well in the ladder. Only 1 cash prize left. Found it very easy. Well, nice. Nice. The Cave Dweller says, having no amp lockout, have me rent boost challenges, which I will finish another one later. Yeah, I'm working on currently the 30 boost, normal boost 30. Almost there. The rest of them are mini games, and I've got 2 badge and 1 travel program, which I'm not going to use. The Investor says, hi, sir. Late this week, but I hope you're doing better than last week and hope success for your job hunt. Me, I reached 960 points on the ladder and will get 96 parcels tonight. Nice. Nice. That's going to be a big land buy. You know, until you go to do it, you never realize how much time it takes to actually buy land, especially if you want to buy a big chunk of it, you know. Some of these videos I've done, check my channel, where I bought like 100 or 200 parcels at a time. I'm literally out there for 45 minutes or an hour or over an hour buying parcels. but that's one of the things they put into the game to kind of it's a factor that they put into the game that is there to, I guess, make it so that so that the whales at the top of the program can't buy parcels too fast. So, yeah. Poker Mouse says, I'm coming up to my first year on Atlas Earth at 920 parcels. That's pretty good. And 100 plus badges, almost at $200. All this because of your help and support. Well, I appreciate it, and I'm glad that my videos have been of value. Once in a while, people post something like that and say, that was my whole point in doing these videos, starting the videos, because whenever I first started playing Atlas Earth, there wasn't a whole lot out there on YouTube. Tasty Wallet had his guide out over on his website, and I'm like, hey, he did a good job, and I think that I could do some coverage on this on YouTube and on my channel, and people would watch it. So I'm glad it helped, because I was finding things out about the game, and I'm like, well, this isn't exactly clear. Maybe I should do a video about it, right? Maisel is here, says, good evening, Bronze. Good evening, you all. How was your week? Greetings from Germany. Well, thanks for dropping by, Maisel. I've had better weeks. Let's put it at that. I now am without a job, and so I have to find a path forward. And I've got a path forward. I'm going to start tomorrow by doing a clean off of my desk, because I've got a lot of old paperwork from work, and I'm just going to do a good cleanup and get myself in the right frame of mind. And I need to clean off my workbench downstairs. I have a workbench where I work on computers, and it looks like a computer graveyard, literally, because it's got pieces and parts. It needs to be cleaned up. And then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make my plan out, like I said, which includes recertifying, getting a new certification, and then taking my career in a slightly different direction. A direction better for the environment. Not that my job was bad for the environment, but I'm at the age where I just want to do something good. So I'm going to try to take my career in the direction of doing something good for the earth. So topic for another thing, but I just wanted to answer you. I'm doing pretty good. I slept well last night. In fact, I found it very hard to get up this morning, which was different from this week, which I was getting very little sleep. Logan says, oh, I forgot to tell you that I got my dolphins in December. Nice. Oh, you're in the Navy. What do you mean by got your dolphins? In the Navy, if you say you got your dolphins, that means you got your submariner pin. I was a surface Navy guy, and I have my ESWAS. I got it on a destroyer, USS John Rogers. But if you are stationed in submarines, then you get what's called your dolphins, and it's actually a pin you wear. And it instead of the surface warfare pin, it's got actual dolphins on it. But if you mean something different, let me know. But if you are a submariner, congratulations. It's a fair amount of study when you get that pin in the Navy. And there's a few different, you can go air as well. But it's a fair amount of intense study on, the submarine you're on, or in my case, it was a destroyer, or if you're on the flight crew on aircraft and stuff like that. So, and I think I still have wounds in my chest from it being so the Navy tradition, when you get pinned, then you have to walk around, and anybody who has that pin can hit you. The thing is, those pins have 2 pins in them, and then they have the backers, right? But if you get hit, those backers, the pin goes through the backers, and it goes into your skin, so you end up bleeding. So I had to walk around the destroyer, and I got pegged really badly. In fact, I got hit so bad that it broke the pin, and I had to replace it. But especially down in the engine room, man, those guys did not lay off. But I still basically have they've healed over, right? But you can tell where the pins went into my chest. Side comment, right? Old guy stuff. But I'm sure they don't do that in the Navy anymore. But let me know if you're in the Navy right now. Do they still do that? Let me see. Back to the game. I got off on a side topic. Lifing. The investor says, can you pay the $10 for ladder, use directly the rent money? No, you can't. Or you need to withdraw it to pay it after. Okay, so the idea, just like with any subscription service out there, whether it's Netflix or whatever you're paying, they want your credit card number. You have to use a credit card. Some people have reported being able to use on a debit card. Some people have reported being able to withdraw to PayPal, use a PayPal credit card to do it. There's various ways you can do it, but the whole idea here is they want your credit card on file so they can continue to charge you. That's the whole idea. So you cannot pay for your subscriptions from rent. You have to pay for them, have a credit card on file, just like with the AMP program. RetroCube is here, says, hey, Bronze. Made it 4 weeks straight, a new record for me. Nice. Thanks for dropping by. I cashed out $22 on March 3rd with no problems. Nice. Well, like I said, when I was looking at the problems, it wasn't a whole lot of people. Anybody reporting problems is enough for me to step back and say, wow, should I remove, So... Pascal says, hello, Bronze Dragon. Is the challenge ladder on your end also easier this month? Had 5 levels for Racer done on Thursday and finished the month with that. I've progressed. I'm on my last 2 tiers. It does seem that maybe they, every month they arrange things a little bit differently, right? So I've made it to the last 2 tiers. However, like I said, with that, I will have to do, like, it's deceiving because the points needed to get through that first 2/3 of the ladder are a lot less than when you get to those last 2 tiers of finishing the ladder. There's a lot more points needed, and especially if you're just doing mini games where you're only getting like 25 points at a time, it can take a lot of mini games to finish that off. So I don't know if it's easier, but I am almost. I'm to the like 2 tiers left. Lady Sharon says, I don't recall if I heard about the rent problems to that extent. I am behind. Actually, I need to remove some as well. How long has it been going on? The last week or so. Have people lost money? To my best memory, the problem goes like this. You go to remove the rent, and then there's a problem therein where where you get that little code to your email and stuff like that. And then there's a problem at that point. And if you don't have another $5 in rent to be able to force that through again, somehow you can't complete the transaction. I don't know the specifics, though. Wags Ranks is in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Crypto Limbo says, could we find landmark locations on the Atlas Earth map on the website? Yes, you can. In fact, I was scrolling around doing videos of them. I did that video, and I think part of the video was I was looking at New York as well as Washington, D.C. But yes, you can. And you can see here, like here, one of the things I pointed out is that the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge are sectioned off. You can see all, actually, interestingly enough, you can see side parcels, but the main bridge itself is all green. And you will see that with the other landmarks as you scroll around, like here. Like we have the New York Stock Exchange. Yes, people report, hey, I have something at the New York Stock Exchange. Well, guess what? You have one of the outside ones, but the main stock exchange is cordoned off and it's all green, right? So one of the popular questions after I posted that video was, hey, what happened if I owned a parcel in the middle of one of these and then they went to cordon it off as a landmark? Well, I asked Annalise and she said these have always been cordoned off, so they've never been uh, basically able to be bought. Now, you may think you've got one because maybe you went over to the New York Stock Exchange and bought this one, but it is not part of the main, you know, the main landmark. Now, that applies to the U.S. There's no discussion yet about outside of the United States. She said she doesn't have any details on that as of yet. Obviously, when we get the details, we'll release them. But if you see any in your area, like major landmarks that, people, you can easily guess major worldwide landmarks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa or the Sydney Opera House or, the Eiffel Tower, stuff like that, have got to be on the list. If you live near them, go check them out and see if they are greened off like this. Actually, Annalise had, I want to see if I can pull that up. Annalise had actually went over to a local landmark near her yesterday just to do a scoop here. And she went to this is what she went to in Ohio. And you can see it's all greened off as well. But she had shown a close-up. Okay, this is the close-up she had shown. If you go there, you can see this like roped off type effect, like at the movie theater or something like that, where it's roped off. You should be able to see that now. So she went over there and verified this just to make sure what it looked like and everything. So big shout out to her for taking her family for a little trip and verifying that for us. Because that was immediately after I started asking questions about it. Sam VP says, I wonder if there would be landmarks in Seattle. Oh, yeah, I would imagine. I just don't know. You can go to the map. Like I said, just go to the map and go over there. And let's look at Seattle just for giggles. So we've got Seattle. I was expecting Lumen Field because a lot of the baseball fields were reported to be landmarks, but it doesn't look like it was actually roped off. So just go and scroll in and look around. I'm not immediately seeing something. I'm sure there's got to be something in Seattle. What, Space Needle? Isn't that in Seattle? I imagine that would be. Maybe I'm thinking wrong. I don't know. Isn't the Space Needle in Seattle? I don't know. Look around, let us know. Like I said, if you find a new one that's not on the list, report that to R964. He said he would not have a problem if you just pinged him on Discord. Yeah, I'm not seeing one right off, but I'm sure there's something out there. PUBG says not yet in South Africa. Lady Sharon says, I always wondered what would happen if you didn't do the second transfer. So it gets moved to this limbo area and then you changed it to PayPal. But what happens if you can't? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Annalise could tell us, but I'm not sure. Hey, Proud Mama is here. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Says, hey, Bronze, I'm late. No problem. Anytime. Mama's in the house. Remember that old show, Mama's Family? I used to love that show. It was so funny. So funny. Yeah, if you like, it was a 90s, late 80s, early 90s sitcom, I guess. Had Carol Burnett and several other, Harvey Korman, Tim Conway, from the Carol Burnett show, several really good actors. And it was just a whole ensemble that was, at certain times, just made made me bust a gut laughing. But that reminded your name reminded me of that. I loved Mama's Family. Okay, scrolling back. Um, George says, do you think mayorships or landmarks will be better for return in Atlas bucks and PayPal? PYUSD is a stable coin. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So it is crypto, but it is a stable coin. So for those of you who are not into crypto, when you hear the term stablecoin, that means that that coin's value is based on the US dollar. Or I guess in other locations it could be based on other money denominations. But whenever you see the USD, like PYUSD, that stands for PayPal USD. So they try to keep the value as close to the US dollar as possible. So that's interesting. I'll have to look at what the current interest rate or whatever it's given. So you said it's at 4%. So that's slightly above the normal 3.6 or 3.5 that it's at. I looked forward in the chat, and Dewey did it. Said, I noticed a local cemetery is green on the map. Does that mean it's a landmark? Yeah. If it's all green, in other words, there's no variation of other types of parcels in there, then that means it's cordoned off as a landmark. My guess is that it's a national cemetery. Wags Ranks asks, does converting rent to bucks count as a transaction for the activity? For what activity? If your activity is the rent conversion, yes. There's a specific challenge on the challenge ladder that says convert rent to Atlas bucks, and it'll say convert $1 or convert $2, and that's what it counts for. If you're talking about as overall activity for your account, I think so, yes. It goes back to the overall question of keeping your account active, and you want to do stuff on your account to show the backside when they're looking at it that, hey, this account is still active on a yearly basis. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I think I spoke to both of the possibilities. Logan says, yes, you can view in Atlas Earth. Yeah, we talked about that on the website. The Cave Dweller says, a reality to make the chef in Bronze Dragon scream, peanut butter and apple butter on a flour tortilla folded like a quesadilla. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. I don't think I've ever eaten peanut butter on a tortilla though. Although we did have burritos this week. We did make some good burritos. I do like peanut butter and I do like apple butter, so I'd probably like them together. I like peanut butter and bananas sandwiches as well. I'm one of those guys. Logan says, if Fort Clinch became a landmark, I would get it. I don't know where Fort Clinch is, but good luck. iBlast is here. Welcome, iBlast. Thanks for dropping by. Logan says, I also think a lot of these people would buy Atlas bucks for these biddings. Well, the whole bidding process, their whole idea was going to be something different than just straight Atlas bucks. It's going to be some kind of tokenized, buy a token to bid. But the details have not been ironed out yet, obviously. But they're trying to make it fair, so everybody has a chance of winning. Obviously, details haven't been come out, but it sounded a lot like to me, these bidding websites. You ever seen the advertisements where, hey, win an iPad for $5, stuff like that? Well, the takeaway on those websites is you have to actually pay for each bid. So each bid costs you a token. So you have to pay a certain amount for each bid, right? And so if you start out low and you keep bidding, they don't care what the item goes for, or in this case, the landmark goes for, because you're paying the game every time you bid. So the game, or in this case, those kind of websites, they're making off of you actually bidding because you have to buy the bidding tokens off them, right? It sounded a lot like that, so obviously the game has to make some profit in there somewhere. So it'll be interesting to see the details. Poker Mouse says 51 watching with only 15 thumbs up. Let's get that to 50 thumbs up. Wow, what's up with that? You guys are sitting there talking and you don't want to give me a thumbs up? Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And if you'd like to support the channel, think about becoming a member. And if you would like to support me using other than YouTube methods, I do have a coffee link in my show notes if you'd like to buy me a coffee. The investor says, did you see my message about Niagara Falls? Yes, I did. If not, USA is reserved, but not Canada. So nothing is in their first landmark in Canada. Yes, I did see your thing, but I didn't really have anything to say about it because, as I said in the video, I don't have any details about landmarks outside of the United States. And it's even been stated that, I think the landmarks in the United States are going live first. I don't know what the specifics are on what they're doing with landmarks outside of the United States currently. I've seen a lot of pictures of landmarks outside the United States where people already have parcels bought at that. So I'm sure they're going to have to do something or other where they refund you something or they move the parcel to move your parcel to like the outer limits of where the actual landmark is or something. I don't know. Obviously, I'll do a video about that. And I don't know any details about why they would just do the U.S. side and not the Canadian side. It's been a while since I've been up there. I dropped by there. We stopped there on our honeymoon, which was more years than I'd like to admit, more than 30 years ago. We were driving through and we passed through Niagara and went into Canada. It was around midnight something or other, and we're on our way up to Quebec City. Anyway, just old guy reminiscing. Good trip though. Southern Coin Hunters in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Says hello all. Made my teardrop. Nice. Nice. PUBG says, we like before we view, say it with me. Well, I can understand forgetting to like, but it does help out. I think that with any YouTuber that you watch their content, you should just leave a like and leave a comment. Just a little comment in their video if you want to see them going. It doesn't matter if you just dislike the topic of what the video is about or something or other. The idea is supporting the channel so they will keep going, right? And you can say that in the comment. Well, I agree with this, but I disagree with what you said here. That's fine. It's just conversation, right? It's talking about the topic at hand. But you shouldn't just just leave them hanging, right? But that's just my opinion. Of course, I'm a YouTuber. But you see these huge amounts of watches on a video, and then just a very small percentage chance of anybody just clicking that thumbs up button. Lady Sharon says, oh, that's cool that it sounds like they are going to have local landmarks. I hope it's going to be local, like several per state. I will watch the video later today. Well, yeah, and you can start looking around. Go on your map, go on Atlas Earth map, and just start scrolling around your area. More than likely, they're probably going to be, downtown, the nearest local big city, But, like there's a place out in Iowa, the world's largest truck stop. So, who knows? RetroCube says, should do a poll. What do you think will happen first? Atlas Earth officially releases landmark or Jesus returns to Earth? Oh. There's two topics I don't talk about on this channel because I think that it's like the fastest way to kill a party is to talk about religion or to talk about politics. But I get your idea. It's been coming soon forever, since the game came out. Poker Mouse says, I'm 100. Well, on that point, I just want to say my takeaway here is, as a person that's worked on the development side of things, is that you can have a great idea going in and not necessarily know how hard it is going to be to implement that idea on the backside. But with that said, they should have not announced it so early until they had a plan in place to implement it. Just trying to play the devil's advocate here, you know. So I think really what it comes down to is, I think that they announced it, started talking about it, great idea, turned out to be a pain in the butt to implement. That's what I think. Arbin says, I'm saving because of passports. Oh, okay, so you're working on your badges currently. Nice. Poker Mouse says, how many badges you got, Arden? Arbin. And Arbin says, I'm still at 2 and I started my progress last month. Well, good luck. Hey, Arbin, coming in with a super chat. Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate the support. Jumping back in chat to see where we were. I wish there was a way to jump forward and jump back, like put a page mark. I am Rad is in the house. Says, hi, I've been watching your videos recently and I love the content. Keep it up. Well, thanks. Thanks for dropping by and spending some time with us. I'm glad it helped, or my videos have helped. I need to update a few of them. Not necessarily that the videos are wrong, because I think most of my videos still retain a high percentage chance of helping people out. It's just some things have changed in the game over the last couple years. And I think I just need to do like updates on some of the videos, because some things have been taken out of the game. And so I have a slightly different perspective on the game, playing the game now, than I did 2 years ago, or you know, almost 2 years ago when I started. So I think the greatest majority of my videos still stand true. I mean, they're not false information, right? It's just some pieces and parts within those videos are no longer available in the game. Like I said, like selling parcels, or well, the AMP program's in transition right now, or like using referral codes and things like that. So, and things have changed. You know, the AMP program's changed a lot, and you know, AMP, the game itself is in so many more countries. I mean, whenever I started, the game was only live in the United States and Canada, and now look at all the different countries it's live in now. So, Poker Mouse says, wait a minute. I forgot to say that. RetroCube says, Atlas Earth should take a page from Mode Earn app. They use 3 survey providers, Tap Research, CPX, and Prime, with 50 plus million downloads. I'd say Mode is doing a lot of things right. I've never tried them, so I can't really comment. I do surveys when called upon for the challenge ladder, and then whenever they're running a special, like get an extra 100, you know, get double the points or whatever, 1.5 to double the points for surveys on like a daily basis when they run that special, I'll try to do a few to get a few extra Atlas bucks. What I've seen is people have problems with the survey providers when they try to sit and just do too many surveys in a row, especially if they are being random and giving out different information. In other words, if your profile is used to seeing this set of information, and then your replies start going widely out of range, then I've seen people get uh, they get banned from the surveys. So I've seen a lot of problems. If you sit there and try to do too many surveys, I think it could lead to a problem. And if you're not accurate with your research, with your comments and stuff like that, how you then I can see you get banned as well. Poker Mouse says would be nice for another tier, as I don't buy badges now, as there's no gain after 25%. Yeah, same here. I'm at 100 and I hit my 101, then I have one or two extra, which are come from the monthly challenge ladder. I'm not buying extra badges actively now. It would be nice if they added extra levels to the badge program like they had previously talked about, but they haven't talked about that for a while. Logan says going to go outside for gems. Oh, the diamonds look cooler now in the new UI. I just saw that this past week. Thought I'd mention it. Nice and sparkly. The Cave Dweller says, I'm at 795 parcels, still saving Atlas Bucks for a takeover that I am working towards. I will need 200 parcels for takeover. Well, good luck on that. Eyeblast says cleaning up is therapeutic. Yeah, I think it's a mental thing for me to start over. I think doing a full clean off, getting all the paperwork out from my old job, and just doing a general cleanup of my desk, which has a mishmash of stuff for work and stuff for gaming and stuff for creating YouTube videos, all sitting around, and just clean it up. Because I've got, like, on the side, you can't see it, but I've got a place for my work laptop, and it's got like a little stand and everything. So Southern Coin Hunter says, I did screen record my tier jump, just need to download it to post it to YouTube. Well, good luck. Let me know whenever you post that. I haven't done one of those in a while because I've hit my 2x multiplier and I'm not doing tier jumps anymore. And this whole first of the year, I've basically just been buying my parcels to work my way through the challenge ladder, as well as just reinforcing my two main mayorships, basically. Logan says, yes, I got qualified submarines in Simmer. Well, thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for letting me know. It's a bit of work, as you know. I can remember studying, like I said, I was not... I didn't get my dolphins. I got my ESWAS, but it took me a number of months to study. I actually did it while I was on a cruise, so I did it over a number of months, and then sat before the board and took the test, and then I had to go before, I believe it was a master chief, and maybe the head of. It was a lieutenant commander or commander who was running the engine room, and answer a bunch of questions. After the paperwork test, I had to answer a bunch of questions from them. It was quite intensive, a lot of study, and congratulations. That's something that you will remember for the rest of your life. In fact, on the back of my Bronco, I had a, there's a guy on, what's the craft website where you can buy stuff that's made. Anyway, I've got a sticker that's made, that was laser cut of my ESWAS badge that I have on the back of my, it's in white, so it sticks out from the black window. Still proud to put that on the back of my vehicle. And that's the only sticker. I don't usually put stickers on my vehicle, but I do have that one. So you're driving behind a sailor. The Cave Dweller says, I also wish that the collection of challenge tiers worked like daily check-in. Instead, you have to claim both sides. Yeah, well, a lot of games are like that. In fact, I would hazard a guess that most free-to-play games these days, part of the way they make their money is selling the monthly subscription. It costs you a certain amount to be a member. You get all these advantages for becoming a member, but you have to remember to claim both sides. I don't think it's overly difficult. You just have to remember, right? Mr. Rob's here. Good morning from Nebraska. Thank you, Dragon, for all your hard work. Hit that like button. Thanks, Rob. Hope you're having a good day out in the Cornhusker State. ABC, a lot of A's. BC says, I love the content. Well, thank you. And they go on to say, I like the old UI better. I would agree with you. I have parts of both of the UIs I like. I wish I like the old UI. I just wish we could have like the total parcels and your total when you're working your way through the ladder. Those two are very nice as well. Some of the new animations are nice, so it's not all bad. I think I would really, to tell you the truth, I would be happy with this new UI if they increased the point size of the fonts a little bit, so they're easier to read for me. So basically, point size on the font is how tall it is, So SHS videographer says Navy traditions. Also, Army does the same thing. Yeah, I would imagine. I have a few friends and family that were in the Army. Most of the services have different traditions. That's what, I don't know. That's part of it. Once you're a sailor, you're a sailor. Once you're an airman, you're an airman. Once you're a soldier, you're a soldier for life, right? And there's a certain camaraderie that goes with that, right? That you, especially if you deployed to a war zone, that it's almost like you're a brother, right? And you can pick out a person in a crowd, you're walking behind them, and it doesn't matter, if they were in the Army or the Navy 20 years before you do, you shake their hand, right? So. Decave Dweller says, life is lifing and pressure is pressuring. That is true. That is the one consistent. You can always expect something crazy out of life. SHS videographer says, we don't have the pins, but it still hurts. Yeah. Well, generally speaking, the pins turned into patches on the working uniform, right? They were just patched or in some cases ironed on, but when you first got it, they pinned it on you and it got demolished into your shoulder, right? Jazza says, I use a debit card. Yeah, I've heard people report back that they could use a debit card, but here's the thing, as long as the debit card can be charged like a charge card. Decave Dweller says, is Amazon an option for payout? Yes, I believe you can get an Amazon gift card. Haven't done it, but I believe you can. If so, what is the payout options for it? I need to do my annual payout without losing benefits. I haven't checked, to tell you the truth, but I would imagine you could buy, $5, $10, probably $5 increments. Not sure, though. 5, 10, 15, 20, that kind of thing. Not sure. But I do think that there's Amazon gift card option there. Let us know if you go do it, how it works out. ABC says, I completed the ladder very quick within the first couple days. Interesting. RetroCube says, March 6th marked 2 years for me on Atlas Earth. Nice. So you're a month ahead of me, about a little bit more, a month and a few days ahead of me. This past week, I've been in an intense battle for towns. I reclaimed both mayorships, have held them a few days now, fingers crossed. Well, all you can do is just keep adding parcels. That's the name of the game. You just keep adding parcels. I'm going to my main mayorship. I'm probably going to be over 1,000 parcels before too long. Pascal says, I think as long as it supports automatic direct debit subscriptions, both credit and debit works. That sounds logical. ABC says, do you recommend for a new player to invest money in the beginning of the game to get a jump start for the faster earnings over time? First of all, I am hesitant to say the word invest because this is not an investment. In fact, if you read through the the details on the game webpage. They said that this is not an investment. How I did it was I just stuck with the game, and I did everything within the game that I possibly could to earn Atlas bucks, and I just build up over time. And eventually, about the same time, kind of coincidentally, that they started the monthly challenge ladder subscription, I was at about $10 per month, or per month earned rent, and I started using it for my subscription, because if you do the numbers, and I've done this in various videos, if you want to put some money back into the game to help yourself get ahead faster, and you can play through the challenge ladder and get to better than 75% complete. You don't even have to, obviously it's nicer to get that end result of finishing the challenge ladder, right? But even if you get to 75% or more, you're getting way more than what that $10 is worth in Atlas bucks by subscribing to the challenge ladder. So in a roundabout way to answer your question, I would say just stick with the game. I wouldn't have put a bunch of money into the game early on. And even putting a little bit of money into the game, it's not going to get you too much further forward. Saying putting 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks into the game, it's not going to speed you up an incredible amount, okay? But like I said, the best use that I can find of a little bit of money on a monthly basis to help you move forward faster is that subscription to the challenge ladder. And I waited until I was making 10 bucks a month from the game. I have not put any quote unquote money into the game from my own pocket that is not earned from the game. Currently, I still go with that. You know, I make about 50. What was it? I updated my totals earlier. So I'm making $55 a month on average, okay, or $665 a year, and $10 of that goes back into, well, I'm making enough to cover the challenge ladder subscription. Although I am still, I'm doing Scrambly now, which you can check that video out. But let's see here if I can. Give me a minute here. If you haven't watched my video on Scrambly, it's another kind of thing that I use. It's another one of these things, play games and earn money and stuff like that. But I'm basically doing that to be able to pay for my challenge ladder now. But if you would like to use my Scrambly code, here it is. There's my link. If you use my code, then it doesn't cost you anything. You get like like $5 out of it after you earn $5, and then I get a little bit out of it on the way as well. So, but I'm paying for that. So, or I'm playing games. They have a slightly different variation of games available than the Atlas Arcade. So I'm doing them both in tandem to keep this game going, and not basically spend money out of my own pocket. So I am subscribing to the challenge ladder, and I think it's the best value in game. I guess that's a long way of saying that that's still the best value I've found. The Cave Dweller says, I would love to own the Leaning Tower of Pizza. Everybody in Italy is now kind of frowning at you. The Cave Dweller says, I wonder if the 7 wonders of the world would be included in the landmarks. They would have to be. They would have to be, because when you say landmarks, the 7 wonders of the world are the original 7 landmarks of the world, right? The Brave Dragon says, I use debit card to pay for the Explorer Club and Reward Ladder because I don't have a credit card. Well, I'm not, what I said was, I can't verify. I do know a lot of people report that the debit cards can be used, but everybody's debit card is not the same. I'm just saying that there has to be a way on your debit card to sign up for recurring removals or something like that, payments, basically charges, basically. So, and that's also to the argument, of some people are able to use their debit card for the AMP program in the United States. It's just because of when they go to use it, the place they go to is charging their debit card like a credit card. And that's why they're working. So I'm just saying that your mileage may vary, and just check into the specifics of how your debit card works. So it may work, may not work. And in a lot of cases, maybe the only thing you can do is just try it and see if it works. Mr. Rob says, about the payout problem. Yes, I had that problem. That's when I realized you couldn't open the payout history like you could. Oh, I remember you saying that. But I put in a ticket and they sent me a link to open my payout. It was not a problem. Okay, that's good to know. Southern Coin Hunter says the Louisiana State Capitol, the tallest state capitol, is a landmark. That's good. Down in Baton Rouge, Red Stick. Annalise says, no problem. I love it there. Want to go back soon. Oh, as far as your trip yesterday, I know I'm way back in chat, but I like to kind of filter through chat and get to everybody's as many statements as possible or questions. Pascal says, just check Tower Bridge in London on the map and not cordoned off. Yeah, I think from all the people outside the United States replying to my video this week, I'm thinking that they just haven't done anything with landmarks worldwide yet. I don't know. Maybe they're just still in the planning. I'm assuming they're still in the planning stages. I don't know whether they're like, oh, let's get them live in the United States, then work on the rest of the world, or whether it's all being planned concurrently. I don't know. Not a whole lot of information available. Proud Mama says, Mama Family is one of my favorites. It was hilarious. I completely agree. Some of the outtakes from that show, there were so many good comedic minds and actors on that show that they cracked themselves up continually. They're in the outtakes where, they crack each other up and everything, but it's so hilarious. I also loved the Carol Burnett show as well, which that was kind of a spin-off of, because most of the major actors on that show were from the Carol Burnett show. Poker Mouse says, quick question. On mini games, if you join a mini game and there's 5 seconds left, so the time runs out halfway in the mini game, does it count? And Annalise responded, yes, it does. Logan says, I think that when landmarks come online, they could slowly add more landmarks over time, yeah. And Atlas Earth need our assistance in finding these landmarks. Yeah, I think they'd, not think. I know Annalise did a poll here a while back, and I think they've got the first list of how many ever are going to go live during the first round, and then the intent is to, add after that, but no details. Obviously, I don't think they can go live with all of them. There's such a huge long list. They would have to pick a small amount first to go, and then proceed from there. Donnie S. is here. Welcome, Donnie, from the Netherlands. Are the landmarks worldwide at the same time? I don't think so. And Annalise, can you tell us something how to buy them money? They haven't released the details on how they're going to go live. However, we do know that they're going to go live with an auction system. And the auction system is not going to, from what they originally said, is not going to be based on just purely Atlas bucks. It's going to be some kind of tokenized, like buy a token to bid or something like that. And supposedly the system is in place to make it a little bit more fair for regular people versus the people higher on the ladder, like the whales. And as far as, we've been talking about this off and on over this live stream, but it's clear that most of the landmarks in the United States are already cordoned off, but it's also clear that that hasn't occurred in the rest of the world. I don't know if it's started in the rest of the world outside the United States, but we don't have any details. Obviously, whenever I get more details, I'll make another episode on it. And then, Annalise said the same thing. I don't have the information on how to buy them yet. They are finalizing that. Poker Mouse says to Annalise, your clip on YouTube has update has greatly appreciated. Another AMA scheduled. Yeah, Annalise has her own YouTube channel, so you can check her out as well. She, as far as I know, usually does a weekly update that includes, what's been going on this week and her personal updates as well. The Cave Dweller says, is the Unknown Soldier a landmark? I wonder. It probably is. I didn't look for it specifically, but I'm guessing it is. Annalise says, converting does count as a transaction for the terms of service. Yes, that's what I assumed. StylingNet says, I just made a total $60 in my time of Atlas Earth. Well, nice. The thing about this game is it just starts mounting up, and it's just a matter of sticking with it, as with most things in life, right? The Cave Dweller says, Bronze Dragon, a man after the king's stomach. Actually, on that note, is his mansion a landmark? I don't know. Pascal says, will be interesting to see if Woodrow Wilson's ancestral house here in Strabane becomes a landmark. Might. I don't know. You'd have to go check it out. Like I said, you can scroll around the map in your area and look at stuff. See if it's all green or not. The Cave Dweller says, I got a jackpot this past week. I did too. It was like a month to a month and a half before that. I got my last one, but I got one this last week. Congratulations. Pascal says, I have a few parcels at the Canadian side of Niagara Falls from my trip last year. Nice. I'd like to go back there at some point because when we went through, on our honeymoon, it was the middle of the night. So it was still lit up and everything, very beautiful. But, you can see more during the day and everything. Zolden says, was going to stick this past month's legendary parcel of the boat in the lake, but realized it's surrounded by grass. Oh, yeah, on the artwork. Logan says, got to 40 for diamonds. I think I was at 35, so not much on the trip. I haven't got a whole lot of diamonds lately. I still have a fair amount of them saved up, but I used to pick them up whenever I rode into work with my daughter because we worked right around the corner from each other, so we would carpool to use less gas, put less greenhouse emissions out, and just talk, when we're driving. So I would use that one day a week that she would drive, and I would collect diamonds. Well, now I no longer have that, and I will greatly miss our driving. If you're a parent, you know what I mean. Together. The real litter box. I see some people's names make me laugh. Says, hey, all, just saying hello. Well, thanks for dropping by, litter box. Can we call you LB? Dewey did it. Said, I purchased my 150th parcel this week, broke down and paid for the challenge rewards boost since I was so close to finishing. And I'm hoping my 10 badges now, or I'm buying my 10 badges now. Very excited. Nice. Sounds like you're coming along. Very good. Poker Mouse says, love that clock's gone back. Means I get your whole stream in before work rather than having to listen to half of it while driving to work or trying to catch up later. Well, that's one way to look at it. Yeah. I'm one of those people that think that daylight savings time should just go away. Just stay on daylight time, and that's it, So I grew up in the middle of Indiana, and we did not subscribe to daylight savings time. And the reasoning was from farmers back then that it screwed up the animals and their behaviors and schedule and everything. So, yeah. Obviously, there are a lot fewer farmers these days. Most of the farms are big corporate owned and everything. But I think we should just stick on daylight savings time. That's just just my opinion, because it screws up so many people just 2 times a year, you know. Decave Dweller says no GTA 6 will release before Landmarks. I'm not a big Grand Theft Auto guy, but I get the joke that it's been trying to be released for a long time and they keep pushing it back. Hal Paint and Body says stopped in to say hi. Well, thanks for Hall Paint and Body. I actually went to body shop when I was in high school. Went through body shop training and worked for a body shop for one summer. The joke there was I wet sanded so much that summer that I lost all the fingerprints on my hand. This was back in the days before, you know, they had gloves commonly available and everything like that, plastic gloves. But man, wet sanding all day long will take your fingerprints off. And I did the test where you grab a glass and no fingerprints came off. But I always loved, you know, obviously I wanted to get into it for the cool part of it, like painting. But there's a lot of real work behind doing real body work, that's for sure. And these days, I think they do a lot less real body work, in the fact that they'll total, insurance agents will total your car, nothing flat these days. Back in those days, you'd get under there and take a panel and, you know, reform it, hammer the dents out, you know, put as little Bondo in it as possible, repaint it. It's all very much an art form, right? But now it's a lot of places that I've had my, you know, over the years, had my cars or trucks repaired at. They just want to take off the panel, buy a new panel, throw it on and paint it, you know. So, but anyway, I digress. Welcome, Hall Paint and Body. Nice to see you. Poker Mouse says, I really excited for what this year is going to bring on Atlas Earth. Just wish Atlas shopping would start in other countries. Yeah, I agree. And we were talking about that when I did that video about it. I'm hoping that this change in the shopping program is one of the steps that needs to occur for the program to go outside of the United States. There are so many regulations and rules that change on a country by country basis that I could see that the spinoff of the shopping program as its own separate company, and not, I mean, it's a third-party company to the main game now. I could see that as being something that would need to happen to be able to make it live, make it legal in some countries. So I'm crossing my fingers that it comes back up online, that we have many more options than we have in the past, because over the last year we've just saw our options just dwindle. So I'm hoping that we have a lot more to choose from, and I'm hoping that it's one of the first steps to be able to go into some other countries as well. RetroCube says, is the Atlas Games taking a break? Last episode was December. They changed their name, and it looks like from what Annalise says, they changed their name again. So I know they changed their name from the Atlas Games to Castronaut, but now it shows, Annalise says they moved channels, is now on Castronaut 100 million. So did they change their name again, Annalise? I still think that's a terrible name. It draws no allegiance to Atlas Earth. In other words, people looking for Atlas Earth are not going to know to search for Castronaut. And it looks like there are several Castronauts. So here's what we're talking about for those out of the loop. So it is technically, they call it Castronaut, but technically the name is Castronaut 100 million. So it looks like, let's go under videos. Looks like the last one was last month. We made 3 New Yorkers work a farm. So there you are. I don't know how well it's doing, if it's meeting the marketing goals that they set out for that plan. That would be an interesting episode, but they probably will not let me know. They probably would not provide any details, even if I ask for them. Brandtastic is here. Wow, Brandon, you're very late. It's almost over. But thanks for getting here. Very late, thanks. Well, I warned you guys. You should know. You should know. But thanks for dropping by, Brandon. The Cave Dweller says they should kept it Atlas Games. I think I agree, but for some reason they had to change it. Maybe legal reasons. I don't know. But Castronaut is, to me, if you're going to do something and the intent is to market your game, which is Atlas Earth, you have to look at that name and see how it's linked to Atlas Earth. Maybe there was a different goal for that marketing campaign, though. Annalise says no, but if you are searching, you need to search for Castronaut 10. Yeah, I saw that. So they just call it Castronaut, but the official name is Castronaut 100 million. Strong Arm is here. Says, I am saving up to buy as many badges as I can when I go on my cruise in 2 weeks. Well, have fun on your cruise. It's been a while since I took a cruise. Last cruise I took was in the Navy. The Cave Dweller says, I can't imagine you would find many, if any, badges on a cruise, would you, Mayor of Pacific Ocean? No, you would find badges in wherever you pulled into, right? If they were live in that country. Now you can buy, if you were cruising close enough to the coast to be within. Now, when you look at the coasts, you can still buy parcels out a certain amount away into the water, right? And wherever the closest mayorship is, that's where the badge you would be sailing through. So it is possible, if you're very close to the coast and sailing along, that you could probably pick up some badges. And it is possible to buy parcels in the water as well. And as far as I know, those parcels would apply to whatever that nearest local badge is, right? You know, for mayorship purposes. RD is here. Welcome, RD. Thanks for dropping by. Strongharm says, I should be able to pick up 5 badges including 2 city and state badges and county badge in Mexico. Then I can grab Galveston, Texas, Houston, etc. on the way back. Yeah, good plan. The Cave Dwellers, can you even buy parcels in the ocean? Yes, I just answered that. Buying parcels, buying ocean floor, Mayor of the Mariana Trench. Yes, but you can only buy parcels out so far. If you were like dead out in the middle of the ocean, no, you're not going to be able. That's not mapped. Okay. If you look along the map edges, let's. I know we're getting close to time here, but let's just look at the map. So let's scroll out. Okay, so check out. So since we're over here anyway, let's look at, we are up in Washington, and right on the line of Oregon. So let's scroll into the coast. We must be out in the middle of the country. Nobody's got any parcels bought. Let's look at a more, I guess this isn't, it's like must be out in the country. Nobody's, let us look. Is this a town? Does anybody? Nobody in Port Orford plays the game. Have a wonderful week yourself as well, Arbin. I'm just trying to prove my point here. But these towns are, I guess people are not. Hey, here's Fort Bragg. Here's San Francisco. I know people are playing in San Francisco. Why are... I'm reloading. For some reason, the parcels were not showing up. And for some reason, the map is not loading for me. Okay, well, let's just call it that. Anyway, the map of a local area, if you live on a coast, is mapped out a little bit into the water. It might be a mile, I don't know. But you can scroll in and you can see where it's mapped off and where parcels are mapped. And you can buy parcels out in the water up to a certain extent. But if you're in the middle of the ocean, it's not mapped, so yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. This has been Bronze Dragon. Thank you for joining me for episode 51 of the Sunday afternoon sessions, where we talk Atlas Earth every week. I hope you have a great upcoming week. And I hope, as always, everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And as always, I will see you in Atlas Earth.